So I thought it'd be worthwhile to address the follow-up from the Asmongold video that I made, as Asmongold ended up responding and putting it on his channel. There were some weird comments from him, and there were some comments also from his audience. So I'm going to try and address what I can and see if we can get to the bottom of some of the issues. I did respond to Asmon in detail. I watched his VOD in real time before it was released on a live stream. But here I'll just go over some of the things that he said that I thought were, you know, worthy of like raising. So Asmon ended up doing me a favor. Like, luckily, you know, I want to say firstly that I do appreciate that for the most part he was very nice. He didn't make it personal. My concern though was, you know, he said, you know, he wouldn't care if people killed and ate dogs. The only reason he doesn't is because he's heard they don't taste nice. There is a need to change, because if this steak were a dog, I think he would probably have a huge problem with it.
Yes, I would. Because it wouldn't taste as good. Yeah, it wouldn't taste as good. It would be awful. It would be yeah, like why would I want to eat a steak from a dog if it doesn't taste good? I don't care if other people want to eat dogs. I think the only problem is whenever people want to eat your dog.
He also made a comment about, you know, there's certain humans you could eat, but then he kind of made this descriptive claim of like, oh, well, there's some people who do, you know, eat people. But
so it's fine if I eat human meat? Well, who is it? Yeah, okay, Jeffrey Chill. Oh, that was the guy that ate people? I forgot who that was. Let's not forget that Asmongold said depends on the human to eat them. Hey, you know, hey, there's some people, listen. There was one guy, I think this guy is like in like China, Japan or something like that. He killed this girl, and he went to literally eat her ass, and it turned out that it didn't taste good, so he had to eat other parts of her body instead. Was it Japan? Yeah, yeah, it was fucking Japan. Oh my god.
If you want to be against the vegan position, Asmon's actually done me a favor, because he's kind of shown, you know, one of the absurd ways that you can go against veganism by not caring at all and being absolutely happy with killing happening. Like, just, you can kill anyone for your own personal pleasure. If an individual tastes good, if you get a sensory pleasure from, you know, their body, from exploiting and killing them, then that's absolutely fine. You can sign off on that. Well, I don't sign off on that. I think that that's wrong. And people getting really annoyed, they were like, okay, well, why are you comparing it to a dog? Well, think about it. There is no relevant moral difference between dogs, between cows, between chickens, between cats, that would justify killing one but not the other. Anything that you can say about one of these animals, well, if you took it away, would you suddenly be okay with killing them, like Asmon would be? For an example, like Asmon said, oh yeah, I'm absolutely fine if people kill dogs as long as the dogs don't belong to anyone. So it's fine if you find a stray dog on the street, you can kill them, and Asmon's absolutely fine with that. I'm not personally fine with that. I think that their lives are theirs. Something that really, you know, then made me not feel so good about like Asmon's commentary is when, you know, I said that they are their lives belong to them, and then he smirked and said, well, it's not really theirs if you can take it away, because they have their own lives and those lives are theirs, they're not ours, and then they get reaped from them. Unfortunately, this—
well, I mean, then they're not theirs. If you can take it, it's not theirs, is it?
I just thought that was extremely callous and disappointing to hear. But apparently, you know, some of my viewers are members of his community. I didn't know that there was that crossover, but given he's so big, that's not really a surprise. Apparently, some people were just kind of thrown aback by, you know, him saying that. So he's kind of done me a favor. Like, it's more than I could have asked for, because to show the absurdity of a position, to show, oh yeah, well, you really shouldn't have a problem with stabbing dogs. You really shouldn't have a problem with stabbing cats. But and people were like, yeah, well, they do that. Yeah. And they were saying, oh yeah, haven't you heard of Yulin dog meat? It's horrible. They do it in China. It's disgusting. Yeah, that's my point. It's wrong, and we find it wrong, yet we are willing to pay others to stab other animals without any kind of justification for the distinction. Then people will be xenophobic towards Asians because, yeah, there are some festivals where people eat dogs, and it's just ridiculous. And like the video that I most recently uploaded, you know, about a YouTuber who was eating animals live, there was a lot of xenophobia that was present in those videos. Look at what we, as a social norm, justify and do to other animals. Look what we put them through. It's, abhorrent. And again, we can't justify that distinction. So I don't know why we do that. So essentially, you can either be this person who does grant value to other sentient beings and you don't want to kill them, and that you don't see a justification and you think it's wrong and cruel when it's done. Or you're someone who just, like Asmon, says that they don't care, and maybe he does genuinely believe that. But I don't know. I feel as if I were to do exactly what's done to a cow in order to get that steak, if I did it in front of him to a dog, I do genuinely believe he would have a problem with it, but I don't know.
What makes me skeptical is that in the video, he says that beating on a dog would be weird.
Like cow tipping or something like that, to tip a cow over. Nah, bro, that's just as weird as beating up on a dog.
It really depends what he means by weird. Does he mean weird in the sense of it's strange, it's just a strange thing to do? Or does he mean weird in a way that's like wrong? But genuinely, say I had a corgi farm, I was working for Elwood Dog Meat. They had to be mutilated in some way, like a cow, say with dehorning and branding. So say with the corgis, they were branded with a hot iron rod, and say their teeth were pulled for the protection of me as a farmer. I bred these beautiful corgi babies, then I confine them for their entire lives and I schedule their death date. Then when it comes time, if they were like a cow, they would be bolt gunned in the head. They would then be beheaded and cut up into steaks. If this corgi flesh just so happened to be 10 times tastier than cow steak to Asmon, would he be okay with eating them?
Another point to make, when I was talking about rights, I was talking about moral rights. Asmon made it about legal rights.
Like many other people, he is engaging in rights violations to animals, and, people don't...
Well, that's not true, because animals are not citizens. They are not they do not have the Bill of Rights. Did Bessie sign the Constitution? Did Old Yeller sign the Constitution? Did the Energizer Bunny sign the Constitution? No. No, they did not.
He said they're not, did they sign the Constitution? Did a chicken sign the Constitution, or these other animals? You can kind of get to this conclusion of valuing animals without necessarily bringing moral rights into it. There are some ways to do that. But for me, I believe that, a sentient being has moral rights as a product of being a sentient being. So as a result of being sentient, they should be considered. And just because there were a lot of plants rights activists in the comment section, the consensus on plants is that they aren't sentient. So I don't know why you were talking about plant killing as if it's anything to do with this topic. Another point, so many people were talking about my tattoos having animal products in them. I don't know if you're aware, but especially in the UK, most inks are vegan, as far as I'm aware. From what I've heard from the various tattoo artists I've had, is that, the majority are actually vegan. And come on, I'm gonna check, aren't I? Like, if it's gonna be etched into my skin, maybe it might be worth, maybe considering that I've probably asked before I've done it. That's all you have to do. Check on the ink, the transfer paper, and, the lubricant that they use, is it an animal tested lubricant? And what makes it even easier right now is that the tattoo place that I go to, all of them are vegan. So it's based. But yeah, you just ask and you check if things are vegan or not. And once you know, it's not something that one's used to doing, but once you do it, then you know. And isn't it better to know what's in your products anyway? And oftentimes it's the cheaper alternatives that don't have the animal products in them. So that's quite helpful. There wasn't too much more to say about what Asmon said. If I can think of anything, I will add it into the video, but a lot of it was, kind of trolling response, seemingly not really giving his view. Like when I asked him if he finally got round to it, but when I was asking questions about killing specific animals, he talked about how his dad would kill animals. It's like, okay, I'm not asking about your dad. I this video is not about him. I don't know anything about your family. I'm asking you. You're the one doing this, so I want to know your views. So a lot of it was kind of descriptive, how things are. So there's two kind of routes that this has gone down. Either one, he genuinely doesn't care and he takes this approach, which I think for the most part people do care. They wouldn't want these things happening to those they care about. They wouldn't want these things happening to animals that they're socialized to care about and not eat. So predominantly in the West, we don't eat dogs, we don't eat cats for the most part. So we care about them. Even with horses, you know, that I mentioned, he'd be happy eating a horse, but a lot of people, you know, wouldn't be. There was a horse meat scandal in the UK, and people were up in arms because they were so upset. They thought they were eating cows, but they were eating horses. And then, you know, they were granting more value to horses without actually having a justification for why that is the case. I think when we put our defenses down, you know, if we're directly partaking in harming someone, like, just think of it like in general life. If someone comes up to you and they say, you know, you've hurt me, you've done something to upset me, it takes quite a lot to be like, oh, I'm gonna hear out exactly what I've done. I'm gonna find the root of this problem, and then I'm not gonna do it again. That takes a lot of, it's a hit to the ego for someone to come along and tell you you've been doing something wrong. So it's very difficult when you actively participate in something that's harmful to another to kind of take a step back and acknowledge the victim, acknowledge the harm that's being done. So with animals we're socialized to care more about, we're much more willing to grant them, you know, their value and be like, God, it'd be so horrible if people did these things to these animals. Yeah, you wouldn't catch me doing that. And I think that is something that bleeds into the way that people respond to vegans and the way that they respond to certain animals. But ultimately the video served its intended purpose, which was to reach people. And there was some, you know, I don't want to just say, oh, the entire community was, you know, awful or whatever. They weren't, you know, had some trolls, you know, like some bacon comments, like I've never seen those before. And there were some people being really fair and listening and hearing everything out. So I thought it was cool, and people giving their opinions, you know, obviously for the most part, I've heard these a lot before. But if anyone feels passionately, you know, against the things I've said, I like to have people on to debate and discuss veganism. I do think that I can substantiate my claims as to why people ought to care about this, people ought to consider it and be vegan themselves. So yeah, if you want to come on and chat, then I'm more than willing to do that. I've got a bit of a backlog of people I need to speak to, but I'm trying to catch up. But I do want to say thank you to anyone who took the chance, you know, saw, you know, Asmon's video. And obviously if you're a fan of somebody, you're favourable towards them, you might feel a certain kind of way when someone's not as favourable towards something they're doing, but you still came here and, you know, took the time to actually listen to what I had to say. And yeah, some people were not really happy with the sort of messages that I was getting. I did get some pretty nasty ones, but, you know, the internet, isn't it? People, yeah, they say all sorts of crap behind a keyboard. Yeah. I don't know what it is about the anonymity that gives people the confidence, but it seems to be a byproduct of, you know, our tech. But yeah, that's all I have to say, really. Wild response. I wouldn't have expected that. Like, as I said in the video, I wasn't too familiar with Asmon. I didn't think he would just bite a bullet like that. That was amazing. But thank you so much for watching. I do hope you're well. And until next time, lads, I will see you soon.